All right, hey VC, how you doing? Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully things are good where you are. Here it is cloudy, cold, and rainy, and even the weather forecast calling for the possibility of snow in Ontario. Hopefully not anywhere where we are, but there you go. It's that time. Okay, on the last edition, we looked at David Bowie's. We did an unboxing, so we did an unboxing of David Bowie's CD box set, Loving the Alien, 1983 to 1988, and with listening to that, it made me think of David Bowie's last album. So I thought I'd present it. David Bowie, of course, the album Black Star. From 2016, this is a vinyl copy. And just, you have to catch it in the right light to read the track listing and everything like that. But wow, what an incredible parting gift from David Bowie. And certainly lovely packaging for the album, for the vinyl. There you go. That right inside. And it is a nice gatefold as well. And then inside, nice booklet as well. But what can you say about David Bowie that hasn't been said already? Amazing artist, and just an amazing parting gift he left for us, his last album, Black Star. Okay, David Bowie. Now, I was at Diamond Dogs, which is a vinyl store in downtown Stratford, nice spot, and there's a fellow who was bringing in some albums for resale. I just happened to be at the right place at the right time and picked this one up. Was thrilled to pick up the Rolling Stones' Sticky Fingers from 1971. This is an early, if not original Canadian pressing. Yeah, still, of course, with the classic Andy Warhol design, and still with the functioning zipper and the little belt buckle that opens up, and then you can see inside, still sealed, or at least glued on the inside, so I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought it was a gatefold, but originally it was kind of glued on the inside. I don't know, yeah, you can't see too much there, but and then the back, and this classic album from 1971. And this was the first time they used the Rolling Stones logo, the famous lips and tongue, and the band there, the first full album with Mick Taylor on guitar. And when you got an album like Brown Sugar, Wild Horses, Can't You Hear Me Knockin', Sister Morphine, Dead Flowers, to name a few, an absolute classic album. And as I mentioned, this is a Canadian pressing, and it plays beautifully. Like, the person who had this kept this in terrific shape, which is really nice to see. Really nice to see. Yeah, Rolling Stones classic Sticky Fingers. There you go. Nice. Okay, was very pleased to see this. I picked this up actually at a thrift store, I think, for something like 50 cents. This is a compilation, which is something I don't usually buy, but this one I had to pick up. This is Youth for Canada, Rock, Canadian Olympic Association, featuring all Canadian artists, and this was released on Columbia and Columbia Special Products. And quite the listing when you got Stan Peters, Mash McCann, Lighthouse, Crowbar, Flood, The Bells, also the Guess Who, April Wine, Chilliwack, Dr. Music, Edward Bear, and Mainline. This came out in 1972, as you can likely tell with the artwork. Didn't even know they put out something like this. Got like the inside, and the nice little metal there. To show you the record, and the record pops out from the inside here. But just a neat find overall. All right, and I can maybe show you the. It is a gatefold, and there you go. Just Youth for Canada, Rock, Canadian Olympic Association. Love the title. All right, finally picked up at least a decent copy of this. Used this is, of course, in just about everybody's collection. Mike Oldfield, Tubular Bells, first big album on Virgin Records. Mike Oldfield pretty much doing everything on this album, a largely instrumental album. And just absolutely terrific, and finally picked up a nice copy. I've had one or two copies that have been scratched or scratchy, and this is generally a nicer copy, so I was pleased to pick that up. Okay, a Canadian band that you may not be familiar with, the band Cano. On radio, sometimes they were called Cano, but I believe the band is pronounced Cano. And this is their compilation album, or sort of a best of, called Spirit of the North. And picked this up, I didn't realize it was a best of. It does have their radio hit Carrie, but it also has tunes like Rendezvous and Spirit of the North. This one came out in 1980. They had a few albums, kind of progressive, but more kind of a progressive folk kind of band. Good instrumentation, though, overall. I was playing this when my son was visiting, and he was like, "Hey, who's this?" And it's like, check this out. Cano, Spirit of the North. And this came out, 1980 on A&M Records. And fellow Canadian, Bruce Cockburn. His 1979 album, Dancing in the Dragon's Jaw. And I have this on CD, but just so nice to pick this up on vinyl, just for the cover artwork alone, just to have that extended there. And we've got gatefold there. And I remember when Bruce Cockburn had performed, this album had the hit Wondering Where the Lines Are. And I remember when Bruce Cockburn had performed Wondering Where the Lines Are on Saturday Night Live back in the day. I was happy to see him on here. This is kind of the big transition period for Bruce Cockburn, where he was really going more towards a full band sound. It was always folk-based, but his early stuff was often just him on acoustic guitar, no band or anything like that. And this, in the late 70s and certainly the early 80s, he was making the transition to a full band. Still folk-based, but really trying to bring in kind of more world sounds, if you will, like reggae and whatnot. So a really nice album overall. Really nice album. Great guitarist. Really an underrated guitarist. Picked this one up at Goodwill, and I think I picked it up just for the cover. Don't know a lot about this group. This is a vocal group called the High Lows, and On Hand. Gotta like that cover. There you go. And this is a vocal group from the 50s. They were one of the groups that was an influence on Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys. Nice stuff, nothing earth-shattering, but it's just something about that cover alone. Ooh, On Hand. There you go. Not his first solo album, but certainly a great one. I think one of his best. Pete Townshend, Empty Glass, from 1980. Featuring, of course, the title track, Rough Boys, great song with Kenny Jones on drums. And this was certainly at the period where it was a question mark whether The Who were going to be continuing or not. Looked like maybe Pete Townshend was really going to embark on a solo career. And I just think this is a terrific album. Absolutely wonderful writing. Open and honest writing from Pete Townshend on this one. Rough Boys, I Am an Animal, beautiful song, And I Moved. Let My Love Open the Door was kind of the pop hit from this, but not really representative of the album. A Little Is Enough. Empty Glass, the title track, beautiful song. But this came out on Atco, and it's his best solo album, I would have to say. And on Atco. And there you go. Okay, and picked this CD box set, same packaging, or very close to the same packaging as the Tom Petty box set. I had mentioned this one before, Tom Petty, An American Treasure. This is well worth picking up if you're a Tom Petty fan, especially for some of the live tracks. It's kind of a deep dive into Tom Petty, so not all the hits are here, but album tracks, never before released stuff, non-album tracks, rare live stuff, well worth picking up. And this is a 4 CD set. Same style of packaging as Phil Collins, Plays Well with Others. And this is in keeping of sort of the repackaging look for Phil Collins stuff. This is a 4 CD set, same sort of style, sort of the book style here. The CDs popped in at the front and the back. Overall, it's good. I'm a little surprised, though, with all the collaborations included, that he doesn't include his work with Stephen Hackett. When Phil Collins was on Stephen Hackett's first solo album, but he includes from his first band, Flaming Youth, starts it off, and the first disc is 1969 to 1982. You got him working with Brian Eno, Tommy Bolin, John Cale, of course the band Brand X, also Rod Argent, Robert Fripp, John Martin, Peter Gabriel, Frida from ABBA, also Robert Plant and Gary Brooker. That's on the first disc alone. Then disc 2, you're getting into Phil Bailey, Band-Aid, Eric Clapton, work with Paul McCartney, Isley Brothers, Stephen Bishop, Tears for Fears. They do include Genesis' No Son of Mine on the 3rd disc, which I don't know why they bothered with that. We know his work with Genesis. But on disc 4, it's all live stuff from roughly 1981 to 2002. Little bit padded because they include 4 tracks from the Live at Party at the Palace from June 2002. So it's him playing drums for Eric Clapton, Annie Lennox, Bryan Adams, and Joe Cocker. But a little bit of padding there. But before I go, I can briefly show you some of the booklet. And I don't know if you're able to see in the corner, there's a little sort of animation there. And if you flip through, you can see him. See little Phil drumming there. I don't know if you can kind of see that, but that's kind of cute. And nice little write-up overall inside. That's going to wrap it up for this edition. Thanks so much for stopping by, and hit subscribe. We'll talk again. Bye-bye.